Alright guys, couple of things before we get started. One, I understand there is a mess behind me because, well, we're doing some renovation right now, so I'm sorry. Two, I understand that Langley's light is out again. It kind of exploded, like literally just exploded. It was fun. I actually wasn't here for it. And three, I would like to, even though this has absolutely nothing to do with this week's theme, I would like to dedicate this video to Mary Tyler Moore, who passed away today. If you want to know why I am dedicating this video to her and her memory, you can go to my personal channel and check out my video tomorrow. Who can turn the world on with her smile? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? Well, it's you, girl, and you should know it. Everybody should believe that song is about them. I also apologize for the lack of being able to sing. So I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy. Like I said in my introduction video, I don't like Harry Potter. I don't really like Lord of the Rings. Both of them were kind of boring to me. So I'm not the biggest fan of fantasy, but there are a few things that I can talk about. So let's talk about those things. First on the list is Inuyasha. So Kei and Kio-chan both talked about fishing Yugi, which is very, very similar to Inuyasha in a lot of ways. If you're not sure what Inuyasha is about this girl named Kagome who gets pulled back into time into ancient Japan, or sorry, feudal Japan. She gets pulled back into feudal Japan and she meets this half-demon named Inuyasha. Literally translates to dog demon, because that's what he is. He's a dog demon. She ends up breaking this really important jewel, and so she and Inuyasha set off to travel Japan to find all the missing pieces before this evil demon named Naraku finds them, because these pieces can make demons very, very strong. Of course, Inuyasha wants it for selfish reasons. Kagome just wants to find it to make sure that Naraku doesn't get to it. And then they meet Shippo, Moroku, and Sango along the way, and they create this wonderful fighting team. Very generic shonen. It is also very, very romance driven, with the two main couples being Inuyasha and Kagome, and Moroku and Sango, and kind of their troubles of trying to become lovers, essentially. With Inuyasha still being in love with his dead ex-girlfriend, and Moroku being in love with every other girl he sees and needing to touch their butts. He still touches Sango's quite a bit, but that's not the point. So yes, so that is one of my favorites. It's a really great series, and it does technically fit under the fantasy realm, I suppose, right? Right? But you know, I mean, we can also throw Pokemon in there, we can throw Digimon in there. Those are technically fantasies, right? I mean, they really kind of are. If you look at the basic idea of what fantasy is, Pokemon and Digimon count. Dylan, Melissa, why don't you guys, since those two already made their videos, you two can help me kind of decide. Should we count those? Let me know in your videos going forward if you think Pokemon and Digimon can be called fantasy. Other than that, Disney movies, those are all very, very fantasy-y in a lot of situations. A lot of fairy tales became Disney movies, and so since fairy tales are considered fantasy, those count as well. My favorite, however, I don't really count as a fantasy, but I do count Frozen, and Frozen is one of my favorites. And it's actually a Norwegian tale, which is very important to me because I am Norwegian, very, very Norwegian, and my family is very, very proud of our Norwegian heritage, and therefore we're very happy that Frozen exists in our lives. Speaking of Disney, their sister channel, ABC, created Once Upon a Time, which is one of my absolute favorite shows. If you're not sure what Once Upon a Time is about, each season is a little different, but but essentially what it is it's fairy tale characters thrown into our world. Instead of going to their world, they come to our world and they have to live life here. The first season, none of them knew that they were the fairy tale characters. You know, Snow White didn't know she was Snow White because they're under this horrible spell, and so that's what the first season is about, and then each season after that kind of has a pre-Christmas story and a post-Christmas story. Not that there's anything really involving Christmas, just there's this big gap. We're in the middle of it right now. And then the final thing I'm going to talk about this week is going to be Gallivant, and I am still so very angry that it was canceled, even though being canceled was actually the perfect thing for it to have happen to it. What? Gallivant is a fairy tale that was created by the creators. It's not based on a fairy tale, essentially. And it aired in the time frame between the pre-Christmas episodes of Once Upon a Time and the post-Christmas episodes of Once Upon a Time, and it would air then in those 4 weeks in between. and it was so good. It was a musical comedy about Gallivant and being a hero, and King Richard, who is my absolute favorite character, has a dragon. Spoiler, it's not a dragon. It's so funny, and I'm still so very angry that it was canceled. It was 2 seasons long, and it's so good. If you have Netflix, check it out. It's so funny. It's just fantastic. I absolutely adore it. That is gonna be it for me this week. I will see you guys all next week, and Dylan, we will see you tomorrow.